back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break, watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show, get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
It's Bass You Go. You know, we didn't have that back then. And dude, it can just...
That tech spread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
Good morning, fishing world. Welcome to another episode of the Bass University Live. We have a good one in store for you today, coming to you from a rainy South Jersey. We have a weather system sitting on top of us right now, and it's been sitting on us for about 12 hours now. So it is a little bit wet and dreary and rainy outside, but that's okay. We're inside in here in the TackleDirect studio, ready to talk about some bass fishing. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a preview show today, a preview to the Bassmaster Open, which is going on later this week down there on the Chesapeake Bay. We have a lot of familiar faces that are going to be competing in that, to the likes of Mike Iaconelli, Pete Gluzak, and myself, Greg DePalma, and many, many more. So we're actually going to be talking to Pete today. He's going to zoom in live from his Opens house and kind of give us a little bit of a hot take on what's going on in the Open, what he expects to happen, how it's all going to shake out, or maybe he'll just have no idea, because I think after all of this weather and all this rain, we all might have no idea. Everything we found in practice might not even matter. So we'll see. We're going to be talking to him about that. Guys, there's a few things going on here at Bass U TV. Before we get too far into it, I got to let you know about, right now we got the Fall Learning Frenzy going on at Bass U TV. That's a $34.99 deal for 3 months to the program. And that comes with a $25 TackleDirect gift card. You know you're going to buy tackle anyway. Let us give you a gift card to do it, and you get the gift of learning at the same time at Bass U TV. That's 3 months for $34.99. And if you're already a BUTV member, be sure to check your email. We emailed you this weekend a code for TackleDirect that's 10% off the entire website at TackleDirect. That's a Labor Day deal, and it also has free shipping. So check your email if you're already a subscriber. Guys, a couple other people we got to thank. Take care of them. They take care of us. That's Bass Boats for Sale, bassboatforsale.com. It is the best place to buy or sell a bass boat. They have a rig for you, every single price point. Whether you're looking to buy a brand new, fully equipped, just absolutely decked out Ranger for $125K, they got that. But they also got something if you're looking a little bit more baseline, you know, something that's going to keep you in that lower price point. It's still going to be a good tournament-ready boat. They vet the boats. They make sure that they're in good condition and that they're going to work for you when you get out there on the water. Guys, check out bassboatforsale.com. Also, Hobie Eyewear. They make some awesome shades. They're lightweight, polarized. The lenses are great. And a lot of their models float. So if your glasses fall off your hat while you're out there on the water, they're going to float. Reach over there, pick them back up. You're good to go. Also, AquaView cameras. That is an amazing piece of technology if you haven't checked it out yet. AquaView underwater cameras, they are pushing the envelope for underwater technology. Now, not only can you see what you think are fish on your electronics and on your live sonar and on your 2D downscan, all that good stuff, well, now you can drop a camera down there and make sure. Check them out on AquaView cameras. They are awesome. And also, Cash and Rods, we got to thank those guys as well. They do a lot to support the program. We couldn't do it without them. And TackleDirect, of course, this is the TackleDirect studio. So big shout out to them. Big thanks. Like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit of Bassmaster Open on the Chesapeake Bay. We're going to talk to Pete. Me and Pete are going to wrap it up a little bit about how it's going. And we're also later in the show today, guys, we're going to air some exclusive Bash UTV content for all you guys to watch. We're going to watch Kevin Short fishing tough conditions. So after we go to that first commercial break, guys, don't give up on us. We're going to be rolling out some awesome stuff after that. Free Bash UTV content. This is valuable stuff. It's going to give you a little bit of taste of what the program is really all about. There is a lot of stuff going on in the fishing world right now. I think every single trail ever has a tournament right now, Scott. I mean, it's a really exciting time in fishing because there's not only the Bassmaster Open, there's the MPFL, there's the MLF BPT, there's Toyota Series.
Literally, it's crazy.
That are still happening.
All the social feeds are blowing up with all the latest tournament info. It's awesome.
I know. There's guys catching fish everywhere, seeing pictures of fish held up on social media, and where are we? We're in the office. What's going on
Well,
here?
it's raining. I don't mind too bad.
Right. You know, today's a much better day to be doing a podcast or talking about fishing, maybe getting the boat ready like Pete's doing. But, you know, there's other guys that are out there that are still grinding, still getting after it. I know Mike is on the water today. He's out there soaking up the rain in his AFCO rain suit, making sure that he's putting his practice hours in. He's really getting after it, but it's an exciting time. You know, there's a lot of fishing going on, and right now we got the fall learning frenzy going on at Bash UTV.
That's a great deal. I mean, for 3 months for $34.99, you get that $25 gift card. I mean, it pays for itself. And you know, we're not supposed to talk about all the exclusive benefits, you know.
Right.
But if you remember, sneak in there. There's some new stuff there we put in there last week that I think you'll be interested in. But yeah, now's the time to join. And you know, if you're having a tough time on the water and you want to jump on and see one of those videos to kind of hone your skills a little bit for your next tournament, now's the time to do it.
Yes, it is. Fall learning frenzy, guys. The fall can be an absolutely dynamic time of year. It's ever changing. Things are constantly changing out there. The bait's moving, the bass are moving, all that stuff. But we got you covered, dog. We got you. Go to bashu.tv, look up some of the videos we have on fall fishing. You will be impressed. Couple of guys that did figure it out in the fall this past week in the Bassmaster College Series National Championship. Andrew Vereen and Connor Cartmel from Coastal Carolina University. The hometown boys got it done. The College National Championship was down on Winyah Bay last week, and the local favorites, the hometown heroes, if you will, got it done with a 3-day total of 40 pounds, 2 ounces. It's about a 13-pound average for the 3-day tournament. And that is not an easy body of water to figure out. The Winyah Bay is huge. It's massive. There's rivers, there's creeks, there's different lakes that pour out into that place, and they got it done. That's a really, really impressive win down there. Well done, guys. You're going to really receive some awesome accolades for that. So good job well done. I'm sure it didn't come easy. The biggest bag of the tournament they brought in on day 2, they had 16 pounds to jump themselves all the way up to second place. And then on the third day, they hung on. They had about 10 pounds, and that was enough to get the job done. They got it done. Bassmaster College National Championship. Congratulations, guys. Heck of a victory. And we can't forget to shout out our buddies Lou Minotti and Michael Fugero. That would be Louis Monetti and Michael Fugero. They are a couple of Jersey boys that got it done for the College Team of the Year. We actually had the chance to talk to them on Ike Live not too long ago. If you missed that show, you missed that podcast, go back on the Ike Live page, on the Ike Live podcast tab on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, whatever you listen to podcasts through, and listen to that one. That was an awesome interview. They won the College National Championship out of, guys, forgive me if I say the date wrong on this, but I think it's a 1997 or maybe it's a 92 Ranger, a 19-foot Ranger SV with no electronics on the bow of the boat. and Scott, they got it done. They got it done fishing in the dirt, doing it the way they want to do it. Awesome. Go up shallow and just straight up catch it. And they kind of flew in the face of the forward-facing sonar, advanced electronics, all that stuff. They can still be caught shallow.
Absolutely. Way to go. Put that Ultrex down and go for it.
Right. Yeah. So, guys, congratulations on that, Lou and Mike. Heck of a win, heck of a year, heck of an accomplishment that you guys pulled off. So, hang your hats high. That's a really good one. MLF is getting back in action here on the 10th. They are headed up to Lake Mille Lacs. MLF BPT, if you don't follow it, is a really, really interesting format on how they do it. Those tournaments stretch out to be 6 days. It's over 6 days of competition. They get spread out. They're giving out a total purse of over $800,000 in that tournament, so it's going to be really high stakes. And Mille Lacs, Minnesota, that's a good place to be this time of year. You know, everybody likes to be up north in the late summer, early fall. It's kind of a little bit progressed when you get up in that part of the world. It's more into it's almost getting into the later fall, what we would be used to down here. Up there, you get those cooler nights, you get the not so hot days, and those northern fish are absolutely chomping. You're going to see a mixture of smallmouth and largemouth in that tournament, maybe even a spotted bass, maybe a shark. I don't know. But
I've been watching this guy out there for the last couple months, and he is just smacking them.
Right.
5-6 pounders at the boat all day long. And, man, I want to get on guy with that guy.
Oh, man. Yeah,
get
be
the scoop on that.
That would be a good trip. Pete, if you're listening, Bass University executive fishing trip, Lake Mille Lacs up there. Come on. Let's go crush some smallmouth up there. That would be fun, guys. But that's going to be the MLF BPT. Best anglers on the planet up there. Absolutely going to town on some northern fishing. So stay tuned for that one. Also going on last week, the NPFL was back in action, and they were up there on Lake Erie, Sandusky Bay. And Scott Siller got it done. He went wire to wire in that tournament. That is so hard to do. That's a 3-day event. And in the NPFL format, the entire field fishes all 3 days. So not only on the third day, once the cut goes, you know, you have 10, 15, 20 guys that are trying to duke it out and catch up. In the NPFL, you got the whole field nipping at your heels, maybe moving in on your water. Who knows? But Scott Siller got it done. He had 26 pounds on day one. 26 pounds. And then followed it up with a 20-pound bag on day 2 and a heavy 19-pound bag on day 3. Heck of a job. Big accomplishment there. Won himself another cool $50,000. Congratulations, Scott Siller, for getting it done in the NPFL. And our good buddy Justin Kimmel had himself a solid tournament on the NPFL side of things up there on Lake Erie. And he's got some local roots up there. Justin Kimmel, our very own, or we still consider him our very own. He's got some Ohio roots to him, so he had some family up there supporting him. Awesome job, Justin. We're proud of you, man. We love seeing your successes. Guys, we have an awesome show queued up for you here. We got Pete ready to go. So we're going to roll into a quick commercial break. We're going to get these bills paid, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Pete about what's going on the Chesapeake. I've been out. Pete's been out. Mike's been out. Greg's been out. We've all been out there grinding, getting after it. And guess what? It is grimy out there right now. So we're going to get a little preview on what's going on from Pete. And we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We're going to see a quick commercial, and we'll be back talking about the Bassmaster Open on the Chesapeake Bay.
BassBoatForSale.com is the world's premier bass boat listings business. We focus on driving premium web traffic to our main website, business Facebook page, business Instagram, and our business YouTube channel, providing your bass boat listings the best buying traffic and top-notch exposure. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, It's simple. We give boats exposure so buyers shop and sellers list. One-time listing fee, no commission, and boats list until they sell. BassBoatForSale.com. Check it out.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
All right, welcome back to Bass U Live. We are talking all things Bassmaster Open on the Chesapeake Bay. We're going to be talking to a man that has spent some time on the bay, some hours, some serious fishing time on, I would say, one of the best bodies of water to fish in the Northeast. When the timing is right, okay? And that is the key to this, is the timing. And right now, the month of September historically is a really tough time of year. So we got nobody better than to chop it up with and talk about what's going on at the Open than our very own Pete, the Dean Gluzak. Pete, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, Rich. Man, I wish I was in studio with you guys, but I'm glad to be down here. Man, you said a mouthful. In September, it is tricky down here, and I just ran into some guys. I had to, the part of tournament fishing that you don't get to see about is behind the scenes stuff. And all the mechanical things that you have to deal with, and I'm dealing with some battery issues. So I was at the Cabela's today, picking up a new AGM, which I'm going to be installing here shortly. So there's just a lot more to tournament fishing than just going out and locating the pattern in the fish. But I ran into a couple competitors there. And they had fished the bay before during like June or July or something, and they were like, "Pete, is the bay fishing really hard now? Is it harder than usual?" What's the answer, Rich?
Well, the answer to that, based on the time of year, would be yeah, absolutely. This is the toughest time of year on what I would consider our home body of water, Pete. And it's no surprise. We kind of went into this thing knowing that it was going to be really hard. It's going to be difficult to get bites. Bites are going to be gold just to even come across even keepers, right? But they're out there. It's the upper bay. The big ones live here. There's 4-pounders. There's 5-pounders. There's 6-pounders. There's 7-pounders. There's 8-pounders. There's even 9-pounders. Pete, we saw a 9-pounder get caught in a tournament that ultimately beat us in that tournament. So we know firsthand that they live there. It's just right now they're really tough to find, and with this this little weather situation we got going on here, it's really going to shake things up.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people all around the country can commiserate or appreciate what we're dealing with. September's a tough month in the bass fishing world.
Sure.
A lot of different places, and it's the same here. You come here in May, June, July, 20-pound bags are the norm. And, that's what you're going to need to do well. Heck, we had the Ike Foundation tournament in June. What, 20 pounds? How many 20-pound bags were caught?
Oh, yeah. I mean, over the years, that tournament has just been ridiculous. I can remember not too long ago, last year before even, where 20 pounds, you're bringing in 20 pounds. Guess what? You're getting a pat on the butt. Good job. Thanks for coming. Here's your 20th place nothing check.
Here's nothing. It's right. But now, and this is really interesting, we're talking about the bay in terms of bites, number of bites you can acquire in a day. And Ike and I are rooming together this week. And Josh and Tim, two co's are with us this week as well. But we're talking about our number of bites. Like, how many bites did you get? Versus, I feel like I was around 15 pounds today, or I feel like I have a shot at 20 pounds in the area I'm fishing. No. We're not having those conversations. We're like, Riz, I fished an entire day of practice. I had one bite. I had one bite, and I've fished here for 20 years plus.
Right.
And that, now I was exploring, I was looking at some new water, I was trying some different new things, but still one bite. That's a measure of how tough it is. A good day down here has been, for us, has been getting somewhere between 6 to 10 bites in a day. That's been a good day of practice so far for us. So it's crazy to think about how challenging it's going to be.
Yeah.
When you're talking about bites, that's the measure.
Absolutely. And the biggest question mark for me in all this, and I've been saying it frequently as we've been talking about this more and as this is approached, is how valuable is a fresh set of eyes, right? Like we fish this body of water. We fish the bay. We think we know it. We think we got it dialed and all this and that. Well, guess what? A lot of times that means that we're going back to the same stuff that we've caught them in earlier this year, years past. We're showing them the same presentation a lot of times. And, naturally we have to fight that urge. And I think that we're aware of that. And this time of year, maybe even hyper aware of the fact that you got to be loose. You got to be adjusting and constantly changing. But how much do you think a fresh set of eyes from an angler that has maybe never seen this place before, how much could that help them?
Man, that's always a factor in every tournament, Rich. I think it's a big factor because I mean, if you looked at my trail plot on my hummingbirds, you know what I mean? It's like permanent lines, where I've driven this same course every day, for forever. But a fresh set, so I've gotten to, where you drive past stuff that maybe you fished before, or, you don't even look there anymore. Guy with fresh eyes, he's coming in and he's going to look at every piece of habitat with equal intensity. That's a huge factor. He's also, and here's what we haven't really talked about, but we need to, is the rain event that's sitting on us right now is going to alter everything. So if you were here pre-practicing, we haven't had rain for like 3 months.
Yeah, it seems that way. It has been a dry summer, which partially can even factor into how difficult it is right now, because when we look across that flat and it looks like the 18th green of Augusta just for 100 miles across that thing. Well, guess what? When you don't get any rain and you don't get anything that kind of sets down, it spreads out that cheese and that mat and loosens it up, it just gets gets even crazier out there. And so now, like you're saying, the rain, if a guy saw it 2 weeks ago, it might be gone. It might be totally different out there.
It's going to be totally different. So the guys that are, going to be looking at that stuff for the first time, getting bites in ways that, is a developing pattern, that's going to be a big deal. And I try to, and I was just telling Mike this, just 2 days ago, me and him were talking about strategy, and I told him, I'm trying to forget. I'm trying to get a pair of fresh eyes. Because I'm trying to forget all the years and the little corners and the patterns that have been successful, and I'm just trying to look through that fresh set of eyes, because that's how important I think it is, and to keep practicing, and that's going to be a big deal. But we've got, depending on the forecast, we had anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches of rain fall in the watershed. Whether it's directly on top of us or it's all the way up the big feeder on the Susquehanna River. Right. We had a pile of water just injected into the system. Looks like it's I'm looking outside, it's stopped. It's first, for 12 straight hours we've had rain. So, what that is going to do some things that we're all going to have to adjust to. It's going to muddy up water, like you said. It's going to move mats around. It's going to, who knows what else it's going to do. Here's a good, there's a little bit of an adjustment period, right? We get tomorrow to look at the water. I'm going to make sure I look at the water tomorrow to see what has changed, and so I'm excited about that, and I might even be able to get out this afternoon if I can get all my maintenance, mechanical issues solved, which I think I'm well underway right now. Shout out to Ed at Cabela's for hooking me up and getting me a fresh charged AGM in no time. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate that. It's nice, and shout out to Anchor Marine, Ed at Anchor. They ordered some new batteries, and they're going to have them available for all of us in the tournament. So, yeah, it's really cool to see the community come together to support the anglers.
Yep.
And stuff like that. But anyway,
speaking of that, Pete, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I gotta just give a thank you to Bassmaster for coming back to the Upper Bay, coming back to Cecil County. The influence that having an open come to the Northeast, come to the Chesapeake Bay, it does a lot of good things. The restaurants downtown now for this would have, in a normal summer, this would have been their last busy day. Yesterday would have been their last busy day because it's Labor Day, right? The summertime shuts down, everybody goes home, and you know what? Bassmaster coming here, the Open's coming here, bringing 200 anglers, potential families maybe. Guess what? Mm-hmm. They just surged another influx of revenue into all those small shops, all those little mom and pop owned businesses downtown. So big shout out to Bassmaster. Thanks for coming back. I don't know if anybody's watching from Bass, but we do appreciate you.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, I thought that's the Wellwood.
Let's see where you're at.
Yeah, you can't quite see it. We're staying right next to the Wellwood restaurant. We've been eating there every night. And
oh yeah,
out here, they get you guys a little bit of a look at the Northeast Creek. We're in Charlestown, Maryland, staying on the banks of the Northeast River, which is really cool place. I'm glad they're coming back. I've been fishing Bassmasters. Here's a cool view of the water over there. Let me see if I can get that shot. There it is. I've been fishing Bassmaster tournaments for I think 95 was my first one, and this is the third time that they've come to the Chesapeake in all that time.
Right.
I'm a little jealous of the guys living on the Tennessee River that get a tournament every year, and but they've been here 3 times. So I'm glad they're here. It's a challenging time of year, but you know what? It's a test of the best, baby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. Pete, where's your mindset at for this? Like, obviously people know that this is your water. This is your You're the dean, man. You're the dean not only of the Bass University, but you're the dean of the Bay. You got your boat camouflaged. Are you wearing like a disguise out there? Are you wearing a costume? What's going on?
Man, I'm not bothered. I'm not letting any of that mess with my mind. And, it's funny you say that, but the guys that I saw at Cabela's today, they've already ID'd me. Hey, Pete, didn't we see you fish over there yesterday? And I'm like, how do you know? But, yeah, you stand out, but that's it. Like I said, it's changing conditions. It doesn't matter right now.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you saw me fish yesterday, last week, last month, last year. It's ever changing. So I'm not too worried about that. And but the what I'm trying to circumvent is the pressure.
Right.
The expectation, because I do fish here a lot, and there's a big expectation there.
Sure.
And I'm trying to you have to manage that. So, but as a competitor, you just learn over the years, you just got to block that out. It's going to be a challenge with 200 boats. That also adds a big complexity to the equation, because all those little corners and nooks and crannies that I found over the years. With 200 boat field, you're only going to get to fish a small portion of that water. So, I don't know. I'm excited to be, participating in the tournament, and I'm not worried about any of that stuff. It's going to be forget everything, fresh eyes, keep practicing, and let's go try to win this tournament. I do like the fact that I do have a lot of experience here. Hey, I've seen rain events on this body of water, over the years. And I've seen how fish can make some adjustments and do some curious things. So I'm hoping that's my goal, Rich. I want to use that stuff to my advantage, right? And that's the magic combination, right? When you have this massive history and experience, but you got changing conditions. I want to try to use that experience, but not block me from adjusting to the current conditions.
Sure.
That's gonna be my challenge this week.
Quick question, Scott here. When you're coming into a practice like this or a game day, and you've got that 200 boat field, do you have plan A and B? So depending on where you draw, so if you're in the top 25 and you haul butt down to your spot and you're good to go, or if you're back in the field, do you say, oh man, I'm going to go to plan B now and fish backwards? What are your thoughts on that?
It's a great question, Scott, and I have plan Z prepared and ready to go.
There you go.
That's the reality of it with a big field like that, with a body of water that's challenging us right now. You've got to be prepared for. You got to drive past plan A. You got to drive past plan B, C, D, E. Who knows how long down that list you're going to have to go?
Yeah.
Before you can plant yourself. Not to mention the fact you've got to also, plan A is where I want to start, but the competition isn't the problem. It's the water conditions have changed.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So that big field, you've always got to have that, right? And Scott, here's the biggest obstacle in tournament fishing to overcome, in my experience, is when you've practiced and you've gotten some bites and you're thrilled and excited about where you're going to start and what you're going to do. And you roll up, you put your trolling motor down, and you make that first cast, and they're gone. They move.
You mean like Champlain for me? Yeah, I get that.
It's so emotional. You have to have B and C already in your head, already. Like, okay, it's likely that these fish are going to move or change. So what are my changes? And sometimes it's a change in area. Sometimes it might be a bait change to adjust to the conditions.
Yeah.
To get them to bite. But always, in every day you go fishing, be prepared for the change. But in a big field like this, absolutely, you gotta be prepared for the change.
Cool.
But here's the positive, right? The guys, it's a developing situation. It's an altering situation. So the patterns are changing right now as we're talking on this broadcast. the patterns are developing somewhere like they're getting weaker, other areas they're getting stronger, and that's the goal, right? We want to try to be ahead of the curve and try to find out what the fish are going to be changing to. And
Right.
I'm telling you right now, in these conditions, the guy that figures that out is the winner of this tournament.
Right. Pete, how much does the opens, the big field, the pressure, right? How much does that change your approach to practice? And what I'm getting at is in my couple of practice days, I've tried to convince myself that ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's never me against the other anglers. It's never us against the other anglers. It's always I'm working against the fish. I gotta figure the fish out. I gotta figure out a way to get some bites before I can worry about whether there's going to be 15 boats on a spot or not. Because if I don't figure out how to get a bite, none of it matters. If there's 15 boats on every spot and I don't know how to get a bite, it doesn't matter, right? But how much does knowing the field size and the possibility of just those huge amounts of pressure, how much does that change how you prepare for an event like this?
It can change it radically. My experience is, Rich, like here's, everybody on the planet. I've not met anybody that says, oh, I can't wait to jump in with 50 boats in my spot and, jump into a crowded spot and fish with everybody. No, everybody wants to fish by themselves. Everybody wants to make that long run or get away from the crowd and fish for fish that are isolated and exclusive to them. I mean, everybody wants that. There's no question. But there are times what I say is sometimes you just got to fish where the fish are at.
Right.
And that means you got to jump in it. You got to get in the mix. We saw it at the James River on the first Open this year, just another tributary just down the street on the Chesapeake. But the fish were crowded, right? Because they're all doing the same thing. They're clamoring to get in the spawning areas. And we have to fish on top of each other. But the fish kept coming and coming and coming. And that's what you have to do sometimes, And so that's kind of my mindset on this. Like, obviously, I want to find something that nobody else has found. And that's the constant hunt. But at the same time, if I got to fish in a crowd like this, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let it mentally alter my approach, other than the fact that I may use different techniques, maybe that I feel that, can get bites in a crowd, that other guys might miss, I'm hoping my experience gives me that, if anything, that if I get caught having to fish in a crowd, that I've learned some tricky little sneaky deals that can get bites when other techniques don't work as well. So I'm hoping that can be helpful to me, Right. And it'll be helpful to you too, Rich. I mean, you fish down here quite a bit. You spend a lot of time, frothing this water. So, there's a few ways, and we talk about them, and we're not going to talk about them here yet, guys. But there's a few little sneaky tricks we can make the fish bite when, guys maybe haven't figured out yet.
Right. Right. I forget who said it, but we got him on Bass TV. If I thought about it for long enough, I could think of his name. But he did a wacky worm seminar for us. He did a square bill crankbait seminar, and he said that fishing pressure is the biggest factor in tournament fishing. Who was it? George Cochran. George Cochran.
Great George Cochran.
He said that fishing pressure is the biggest factor in tournament fishing, and I think that might be something that rings pretty loud in this tournament. How important is boat draw going to be in this thing, Pete?
Well, it can be huge. There's a couple. Boat draw is a big deal in this for two different reasons, and some of you guys that aren't familiar with tidal fishing, we're going to see a low tide in the afternoon, and all us tide rats know that, man, you won't be on the water at the last couple hours of outgoing to low tide. Well, guess what? You draw out an early boat draw on day one, you're not going to see low tide, most likely where you're fishing. And guys, so depending on your patterns, what you found, you might be begging for boat 200, on day one, versus, if you've got a great starting spot, obviously you want that early boat draw, so you can beat the field there. So it's boat draw is key. It's important, but it's going to be important in this tournament. Let me ask you this. I mean, we talked about fishing pressure. Cochran was great. We saw fishing pressure. It always affects Lake Oneida greatly. It's going to affect here too. But let me talk to you, Rich. This is the biggest tournament that I think you've participated in. For guys that are brand new to this, man, where's your head at? You're jumping in the field. You've got Bassmaster Classic, and I'm not trying to put extra pressure on you or spin you out in any way, but there's some studs in this tournament. There's all the local sticks that I include you in that group because you win a fair amount down on this body of water. And then you've got just really stout anglers from all over the country trying to make the elites. So where's your head at going into this tournament?
Honestly, Pete, I'm trying to keep my head in the mindset of that it's just another tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care who I'm fishing against because I know how it can go. All it takes is one. You just need that one spark. You need that one clue. You need the one little thing that gets you going down the right path. And one bite leads to 2, and 2 leads to 5, and 5 leads to 10 in a day, right? And So I'm trying to keep it kind of business as usual. I'm not doing the hosting thing like at my house. I had a lot of people reach out to me and ask about staying, and I appreciate that people keep me in mind for that and all, but I'm keeping it business as usual. It's just me, Taylor, and the dogs, and it's going to be just wake up and go fish another tournament and kind of take things as they come in the event and really let the conditions dictate what I'm going to do. As far as the competition factor goes in fishing against the guys like you and Mike and Brian Schmidt and Jacob Porosnik and Brad Hallman and Cody Meyer, and just like the list could go on and on. But to me, that kind of makes me want to crawl out of my skin. Like, it gets me fired up. I kind of salivate at that thought of, maybe being able to take a shot at the title against the big dogs. And, it is, I feel the same pressure that you do in that aspect of that. I live on the bay. I for the last 5 years, I've spent a lot of time out there, but I'll be the first to admit that when it gets tough out there and things are, hard to fish, it can be a really, really, really hard place to fish. But, I'd like to think that over the last few years, I've learned how to just put my head down and fish through that kind of stuff. And, past events on this body, on the body water, on the Chesapeake, I've kind of had a tendency when the bigger stuff comes, I've done all right. And, so I'm just hoping to fall back into that same thing, preparing myself the best that I can, make sure I'm going into it with a well-equipped boat, a good, clear mind, and then just let the fishing take care of itself. Because when it comes down to it, if you find some fish, catching them is the easy part. It's all the other stuff. It's first finding them, making sure that you don't break your boat on the way out, making sure you don't hit a log, making sure you don't skip a sandbar and tear something up. There's a lot of other factors that can dictate why we maybe don't catch a bass in a day. But I'm just trying to keep it business as usual and go out and fish a tournament and let the cards fall where they do. So
I like it. If you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool. I go back to, and as you were answering the question, I was thinking about my first tournament, which took place on Thousand Islands, way back. And I remember being so thrilled. I'd fished Federation tournaments for a long time and done, fair enough that I wanted to take on fishing the opens. They used to call them invitationals back then. And I remember wheeling up. I'd never been to Thousand Islands before that tournament, just the enthusiasm, the raw excitement that those of us that love this sport have, was just coursing through my veins.
Sure.
And I loved it then, and I love it now.
Right.
And you get caught up, right? You've been doing this a while, and patterns and things and change, that make things challenging and boat, difficulties. But it's just when it gets in your blood. Randy Blaukett, I like his quote about that when it's in your blood, you just love it. You'll always love it. And I still do to this day. So I'm thrilled for you to be taking on this one, your first event, and I'm glad to be part of it with you.
For sure. It's definitely going to be fun. The beauty of tournament fishing, and when you get, into the bigger events, or you qualify for a regional or whatever, you could be on nothing, or at least this is for me anyway. I could be on jack, nothing, slap, never caught a bass before, never even seen one in this body of water. They don't live here. They all died at saltwater. I'm in the ocean. And then they call your boat number, and it just all goes out the window. Everything is, it's you're blasting out going 65 miles an hour, and you are going to find them. You are going to jam them that day until maybe 4.5 hours in, and you haven't caught one, and then things start to go a different direction. But hey, that's part of the game, and we all deal with it. So no, it's gonna be fun. It's really been a treat, over this past weekend, being able to get out there on the water and practice, and talk with you and talk with Mike, and kind of feel that almost like we got that little BU inside camaraderie thing going on, to where we know we can talk amongst each other, and the information's going to be good. So yeah, man, it's really going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and I'll be happy to be competing with you and against you. So it'll be good to go.
Well, I'm wishing you the best. I hope for us we get that moment. One of my favorite moments is when you feel that momentum shift in your boat, when you are maybe struggling to get bites, or trying to adjust to the conditions, dealing with everything, and the bites start to develop, and
right.
you get this epiphany where it's like I said before, it's like a freight train that just runs.
Yep.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
And you just need to show up, man.
Yep.
And things start happening, and those are the magic moments
Yep.
that don't happen near enough in a career.
Yeah.
It's,
we got to savor them when they come by, because they're tough to come by. So
absolutely. So I'm thrilled that we're going to do that. Hopefully we all get to experience that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But what do you got on tap today? What are you playing for us?
Yeah, so once we let you get back to the boat maintenance and throwing that fresh AGM in there, we're going to take another quick short break, roll out some of our sponsor commercials, and then we're going to come back with a Bass UTV seminar. That's going to be a Kevin Short Fishing Under Tough Conditions. And in that seminar, he actually references an open he won where the conditions were super, super tough, only getting a few bites every single day. So figured that would be a good one to put out for this week. We're going to do Fishing Tough Conditions with Kevin Short in the second half of today's show.
Excellent. Hey, I want to give a shout out and shout out to Kevin Short, man. He's been a great Bass University instructor for a lot of years and a super champion. But Humminbird's Colo, Jeff Kolozinski, is the marathon man, and he's raising money for the 9/11 families and a lot of great causes. You can go over to marathonman.com. That's happening this weekend.
Oh, so okay.
You can follow along to see if thousands of fish he catches in 24 hours.
Dude, I forget how many. I want to say it's like between 3,000 and 4,000 fish in 24 hours.
Insane. It's something like that. And he's going to try to break the record. I don't know how he's going to do it. It's impossible to break.
A lot of caffeine, sugar. Anybody who's ever met Colo knows that's he operates on energy. So
Yeah, that's it. He sure does. So go over to marathonman.com and donate, get involved, and check and watch Jeff. We'll be pulling for him too.
Yep.
We'll all be out battling some fishing conditions. So, but I am going to, put my my mechanic's hat
Yes,
back
sir.
on. We're gonna get greasy. We're gonna get things squared away, and hopefully maybe get back out on the water here shortly. But it was cool that I was able to come and visit with you and Scott. And
Awesome.
man, we'll catch up with you guys real soon.
all right, Pete, thank you for chiming in with us from the Chesapeake Bay. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon at the registration meeting. So we'll catch up then.
All right, look forward to it. Have a great day, Scott. And,
All right.
And thanks everybody for watching. I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Guys, that was the dean of the Bass University, Pete. Like I said, when we introed him, that is a man that probably has more experience on the Chesapeake Bay than really anybody else in this tournament. Maybe, I don't know. That's might be a big statement to say. There's a lot of guys fishing in this. There's a lot of locals fishing in this. So we'll see. It's not to say that he's a top dog favorite, guaranteed everything, but he should be, because he's got a lot of hours on the water out there, and really time on the water is everything in this sport. So that was awesome. It was fun, kind of breaking down how things might go on this Upper Bay tournament. It got me even a little bit more fired up for this thing. So I'm ready to fish this dang thing.
It's going to be epic. I can't wait to hear some of the stories.
Sorry, Scott, I muted you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's going to be awesome. I just can't wait to hear some of the stories of where these guys run. I mean, I was a marshal in 2015 down on the Chesapeake with Shaw Grigsby and those guys, and, some of them ran all the way, as you remember, down to Baltimore
right.
to catch the fish under spinning, spinner baits under docks, right? I mean, they were crushing it. So it's curious to see how that 200 boat field disperses across the Chesapeake.
Right.
Man, I hope somebody's got a drone out there following that. That'll be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. There's going to be live coverage for this one. I don't know if it's all 3 days or if it's just the third day. I'm really not sure how that works, but there is going to be some live coverage of this Chesapeake Bay Bassmaster Open. So you can view that at bassmaster.com. Guys, we'll be keeping you updated on how it's all going. Pete will be keeping you updated on how he's doing. I'll do my best to keep you updated on how I'm doing. And stay tuned. It's gonna be good. It's all gonna start on Thursday. It's gonna go Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So hopefully one or all of us are in that final day cut. It's gonna be tough. There's a lot of stout competition, but hey, you know what? It's fishing. Anybody can get it done on any given day. So guys, stay tuned. We are going to roll into a quick break here, and then we're going to come back with some Bass University TV content. It's a seminar called Fishing Tough Conditions with Kevin Short. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
BassBoatForSale.com is the world's premier bass boat listings business. We focus on driving premium web traffic to our main website, business Facebook page, business Instagram, and our business YouTube channel, providing your bass boat listings the best buying traffic and top-notch exposure. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, it's simple. We give boats exposure so buyers shop and sellers list. One-time listing fee, no commission, and boats list until they sell. BassBoatForSale.com. Check it out.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing, is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
BassBoatForSale.com is the world's premier bass boat listings business. We focus on driving premium web traffic to our main website, business Facebook page, business Instagram, and our business YouTube channel, providing your bass boat listings the best buying traffic and top-notch exposure. Whether you need to sell your bass boat or are looking to buy a bass boat, it's simple. We give boats exposure, so buy.
Got a new house and everything else is coming in. A little hurricane or a tornado blew it away.
Yes, we have we have tornadoes. In
I know. My wife's from Arkansas.
We don't have hurricanes.
No,
okay?
I know. I had the hurricane.
Yeah,
that came to my
you
house.
have hurricanes. Yeah, last April, Carrie and I lost our house in a tornado. We lost our dad's house. He lives 2 doors down from us. And we lost my dad's girlfriend's house. So we've spent the last 8 months rebuilding houses.
Plural.
So yeah, I mean, everybody kind of had the impression that, oh well, he's just rebuilding his house, and that's a big deal. But actually, we did 3 of them. So
right.
I mean, that's like hell times 3.
That's right.
Okay, I say that jokingly, but we had never thought about building a house. Never, that wasn't anything that was kind of on our radar. But when the one that you had was picked up and turned just a little bit, and you could see daylight at the roof, and you could see daylight at the floor. Well, that's a pretty good time to build another one. So.
But things change. In his situation, his location, a house changed. But the same thing happens with fishing, doesn't it? There's always changes. So I really like to get these guys pumped up. So let's put it together for K-Pink. Kevin Short, are you jumping up, buddy? Take it away, Pinky.
Thank you, guys. One of the how many of you guys and ladies fish tournaments in here? Lots of us. Okay. All of us at one time or another have gone to a tournament that we knew was just absolutely going to suck. We knew the bite was going to be tough. We knew it wasn't going to take a lot of weight to win. I mean, we were then, and I promise you, we all left the house thinking, man, I hope I just get a bite, or I hope I just catch a limit. That's all. Just 5 fish. That's all I want. All right. I mean, we've all done that. Growing up in the South, I mean, that's pretty common for us from the middle of June until the middle of September. I mean, a lot of our fishing down there in the heat of the summer gets extremely tough. Unfortunately, I mean, we still have tournaments in July and August, so that's one of those things that you have to deal with. And one of the things that I figured out when I first started fishing tournaments, started fishing local, and regional tournaments, is I would really struggle. I would do really well in January, February, maybe up till the middle of March, till the fish got on the beds, okay? From the time that the fish got on the beds until the time that they came off and really got set up in their summer, I mean, I would just be worthless. I mean, when it was so stinking easy that all you had to do was go down the bank with a spinnerbait or a Cinco or whatever, I couldn't catch my butt with both hands, okay? I mean, guys would be hauling in like 20 pounds and I'd have 10. I mean, it would really frustrate me. And then, when it came to bed fishing, it just, the guys would just whack them. Because that was typically, if you did the big sacks in Arkansas, you'd either catch a huge sack before they got on the beds, January, early February, pre-spawn, or we'd have a period there, March, April, in most of the lakes, especially the clear water lakes, where guys would catch huge sacks when the fish were actually up there spawning. And I never figured, I mean, I just never figured that out. But I knew when I was fishing those little local and regional tournaments, I knew that if I could just make it till the middle of June, from the middle of June until the middle of September, maybe even into late September, when it got tough, I knew I could catch them then, okay? Over the years, I mean, I got to thinking about that and figuring out why, okay? What made that time of the year why was that in my wheelhouse, so to speak, okay? This is what I've come up with. Of course, what makes it tough? Well, in Central Arkansas, most of the time, what makes it tough is the weather. And when you're talking, oh sweet, I've always wanted to play with one of these. What do you do with it?
Push that little red button.
This right here in Central Arkansas and a lot of the South, this right here, extreme temperatures. Specifically, extreme heat is what makes it tough. I mean, I've seen water temperatures in the upper 90s, 98, 99, a lot, okay? It's hot. It's tough to get a bite. I mean, really, fish are real lethargic. Man, they are not, and that's one of those things, you guys are used to deal with the other extreme of this a lot more when it gets really cold, okay? Well, the same thing happens to fish. When it gets really cold, man, it's like they just don't move that much. Same thing happens on the flip side, okay? They don't move that much, but the thing that you have going in your favor when it's extremely hot, those fish their metabolism is working so much faster, they have to eat, okay? I mean, they're cold-blooded, so when that water's hot, man, they're burning through calories. They have to eat, okay? That's why a lot of times in the summertime, you get those extreme heat temperatures and you catch fish, they're real thin, okay? I mean, they need to eat because they're burning through calories so fast, but it's so hot, they're just not real active. Obviously drought and flood and then post-frontal, those all are weather conditions that make a bite tough. Angler pressure, for you guys that fish up here in the Northeast, I mean, I know probably one of the first tournaments that I fished in the true Northeast was on the upper Chesapeake Bay. It was an open several years ago, and there was, I don't know, it seemed like there was 2,673 boats on the water, okay? Now, what made it worse is it was extremely cold. It was early in the year. I want to say it was maybe late March, middle of March maybe, somewhere in there. Water was extremely cold, no grass growing, and everybody was just piled in on top of each other. And I mean, I was just shocked at how close guys would get to you while they were fishing, okay, while I was fishing, okay? And I mean, if that happened on, say, Guntersville or Kentucky Lake, I mean, there would have been some people get shot if they got that close, okay? I mean, it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't happen down there. But, I mean, you guys, you know, a lot of you guys are used to having that many boats in that small of an area, and hey, somehow it works. But angler pressure, obviously, can make a bite tough, and, you know, fishery issues, whether it's, you know, a lot of times on river systems, you'll see that a river system will lose whole year classes of fish due to floods. Okay, they'll have a couple of years. We see this on the Arkansas River, the Red River, quite frequently. You'll have, you know, you'll have a couple of different years there where the fish, the shad, just won't spawn very successfully because of high water. Okay, that can make a fishery tough. How do you make this thing move? Down, left, right, up?
Just hit the bottom there. I'll be right back.
Bottom. Okay. So, what do you got to do? Well, you just got to deal with it. Okay? Just like the Nike ad, just do it. That's, I mean, you know, if you're going to fish tournaments, if you're going to go fish, and a lot of times, you know, maybe you don't fish tournaments. Maybe you just have to go fishing. Maybe you only, you know, maybe you work Monday through Friday. You get to go fishing on Saturday. Saturday maybe is going to be a crap day. You know, it's going to be one of those days where the weather's going to be no good. It's the day after a front, high bluebird skies. You know it's going to be a tough bite. Here's some things that you need to keep in mind. The most important thing is right here at the top, and these are listed in my mind, these are listed in the order of importance, okay? Attitude is the most important, okay? Having a good attitude, having a positive attitude can make a world of difference in your success, in anything, not just fishing, but in anything. You know, when we lost our house this spring, it would have been very easy for me to pick the phone up and call Tripp and say, you know what, Tripp, I'm just going to take the rest of the year off. Just, you know, just count me out for the rest of the year. It would have been very, very easy to do that. Okay, that would have been the easiest thing, because then all I would have had to concentrate on was, you know, putting my house back together. All right, that's not the kind of guy I am. All right, I just don't do it that way. And I mean, I've always thought that any kind of obstacle that gets between you and where you want to be is just something to make you a better person, regardless of what kind of obstacle it is. House wiped out by a tornado, never liked to lay out on a house anyway. Screw it. You know, I got a house now that is laid out exactly like I want. You know, I've got a garage now, and we had a garage before, but this is a house that was built in the 60s. You know, I couldn't put a boat in that garage. Well, now I got it's amazing how things work out. Now I've built a garage big enough I can put a boat in. You know, I don't have to keep my boat across the street, down the hill, you know, in my shop. So, hey, I got no complaints. You know, I'm sleeping in a brand new house. and it's all good. But it would have been very easy on April the 29th to call Tripp and say, you know what, I'm done. I got other things to do. But I didn't do that. So attitude is extremely, that's why it's at the top of the list. That is the most important thing in, and not just, not just fishing, but that is the most important thing in my life, okay? Lure selection is going to be the next thing, location, and then execution, okay? Attitude, PMA. I want everybody to write this down. PMA. Positive mental attitude. When you leave the house in the morning and you're going to fish that tournament and you know it's going to be tough, you know it's going to be a tough bite, you're just praying that you catch a limit. Positive mental attitude. This man right here, see that? 30 biggest bass records? Yeah, well, lowest winning weight ever in an Elite Series event. Yeah, lowest winning weight ever. Isn't that a great record to have? Well, you know what? I caught on Monday of that tournament, I had 2 bites. Caught one of them on spinnerbait, about 1 3/4, and I had another bite flipping that I didn't set the hook on. Tuesday, didn't have a single bite. Fished. I mean, I was fishing hard. Okay? Wednesday, didn't have a single bite. Okay? Actually, I think Wednesday I caught 1 big mudfish. Yeah. So, but yeah, 2 bites. But that was enough. Those 2 bites were enough to tell me that the area that I was in, there was at least 2 fish there. Okay? And all this other stuff that I'd done, well, I wasn't going back there, that's for sure. So I didn't get any bites. But, just those 2 bites, I knew that I could go in there and at least catch 2 fish. And as tough as it was going to be, I figured that was probably going to be way ahead of what everybody else was, okay? It wound up, I went in there and I caught 6 fish. I caught a limit and cold one time. Left, out of it. Great. Well, I wound up, and I, rotated through a few other areas and caught a fish here, caught a fish there. Problem was, the water was dry. Okay? It was a slow fall on the river, and the area that I was fishing in was dropping 4 to 6 inches a day. The area that I was fishing in was only about 4 foot deep. Well, the next day it was only, the second day of the tournament, it was only 3.5. Third day of the tournament, it was only 3. So, I'm steadily running out of water. What's happening is those other little areas that I've been picking off, one here and one there, I couldn't even, by the end of the fourth, by the 4th day, I couldn't even get in those because the water dropped out. But I never gave up on this. Never quit the attitude, because I knew if I just stayed with it, all I needed to catch was 5. Okay? That's the magic number right there. Every day, every tournament, if you don't have 5, typically you're not a player, especially in tough events. In tough events, if you got 5 every single day, whether it's the first day, the 4th day, whatever, if you got 5 every single day, you're a player. This tournament, there was 2 of us out of 108 that caught 5 fish every single day. 2. But I'm talking about some pretty good hands. Okay? There was a wad of zeros. I'm talking a wad. Second time ever. KVD 0. Ever. Didn't catch fish. First time was on the Arkansas River. And I darn near won that. So, hey, I want to go to rivers more often, just to keep him from catching fish. But, you know, I say that jokingly, but also seriously. But it, you know, this right here, just, you know, well, anyway, this right here is the whole thing. There we go. So, half the field, you're sitting on the next tough tournament that you fish, you're sitting there, you're getting ready to take off. You look around, you keep in the back of your head, hey, half these guys, they're done. I'm already way ahead of them, all right? Because you are thinking, I can figure out how to do this, all right? Hit me. Location. There's a few slides here that are the fastest way for you to figure out, and this is something that you can take to any body of water that has any kind of depth variation. Now, natural lakes, you know, where everything's just kind of a bowl shape, not so much there. But any kind of reservoir, any kind of river system, whether it's tidal, not tidal, whatever, these are the kind of things that you look for. And the first thing that I'm going to look for, and it's the same thing that I look for down here on the Delaware last summer. Never been here before, didn't know anything about it, didn't talk to anybody about it. Showed up, put my boat in Monday morning. I had looked on Google Earth, and I knew that creeks were going to be my best option to catch fish quick as opposed to the main river. Okay? Main river, like Mike talked about earlier, there's a whole lot going on out there, and there's a lot of, usually on a main river situation, it comes down to key areas, key spots, key places. Those area spots, places take a lot of time to figure out. You know, especially for a guy that's never been here before, doesn't know anything about it. Those little areas take a long period of time to figure out, as opposed to a creek situation where everything is shrunk down. Okay? The first thing that I was looking for was channel swings. Anywhere where the creek channel made any kind of a bend. And you can see, this one's the, what kind of screwed that up? Because it's the same thing. This is, I mean, you can see how this creek channel right here makes almost a horseshoe-shaped bend. Okay? This is the kind of stuff that I'm going to, and this is all actually underwater. Okay? This is in a reservoir, and it's just a creek channel that winds through this big flat. But it's the same exact thing. Where this bend, the back side of this bend, where it comes from straight, right in this little corner right here, and on the other side where it leaves that little corner, those are the things that I'm looking for. Now, hit the next one. On the Delaware, this is one of those little bends right here. And the bend, the swing actually comes all the way down here and comes back, okay? Right in here, you can't hardly see it, but right here on the edges of that swing are big laydowns. I can see this on Google Earth, okay? And I'm thinking, I like the way that looks. What I didn't realize until I got there is on the back side of this, on the flat over here on the other side, was all hydrilla, growing about that tall. Not really big enough for the fish to use it, but big enough for the bait to use it. Okay? So right here in one area, one little stretch, I got everything. I got it all. I've got cover, all these laydowns. I've got deep water, relatively deep water. Now that's another thing. Deep is all relative to where you're at. Okay? A drop off could be a foot. It could be 20 foot. It's all relative to where you're at. Fishing river systems, typically in a river system, a drop of 1 foot, 2 foot can be huge depending on where in the river system they are. All right? So don't, just because it's only a 1 foot drop don't let that mess you up. In the channel back here in the back, it was at high tide, it would be 4 to 4.5 foot deep. At low tide, it would be 2 to 2.5 foot. Now that's only a 2 foot swing. Well, what you have to understand, what I didn't think about until I got back in here and saw it, was I was so far away from the main river, so far off the main river, that it didn't cut the tide completely out, but it cut it way down. Because the water didn't have time to run all the way to the back of the creek and then fall all the way back out. There just wasn't enough time because it was so far away from the main river. Okay? And I've seen that, and you know, this is one of those things that when I realized what was going on, I thought, well, sure, you know, I've seen that before on the Potomac. You know, you see the same thing. I mean, the same thing happens on the Delaware itself. At the mouth, the tide swings big. You get all the way up to to Trenton, maybe not so much. Okay, same thing's going on here. I'm so far back up in there that there was a variation in the tide, not nearly as much. So this right here was looking really good to me. Had depth changes, had cover, and all this grass back in the back. I mean, after you got past this point, it was just solid hydrilla, all of it about that tall. On the flats, dropping off into the channel. And if you I put the power poles down and just sit there, or just stand there and watch, and you'd see little shad going through there, little minnows, little bluegill. And I'm looking at all this, paying attention, okay? I mean, I'm not just back there lollygagging around. You know, I'm kind of checking out what's going on. And seeing, okay, obviously, everything else is in here. Is there something in here for the fish to eat? And there was. So, location, high percentage areas, channel swings, or places that have a depth change of some sort.
In a lake, you're looking for the same type of
In a lake, I am looking for the same exact thing. When I go to a lake I've never been to before, or when I know it's going to be a tough bite, the first place that I go to is a creek. And in that creek, I want to find every single, if there's a channel swing that swings tight up against the bank, you know, it kind of, like Cliff was talking about earlier, it's, what did he call it, a pinch, what would he call it, pinch point?
pressure point.
Pressure point. That's the same exact thing on a different scale, okay? Anywhere that channel swings up close to the bank is a pressure point. Because what happens is, you know, you don't think about it, but most reservoirs have some kind of current in them at some point in time, okay? And even though it's a huge, wide creek, okay, if you've got a channel that runs through it, there is going to be more water going down that channel than there will be across the flats, because there's more water in the channel than there is on the flats. So you're going to have a little bit more current on the channel side than you will on the flat side, okay? And those little swings, usually they've got sharper drops, and where that channel swings into the bank and where it turns and leaves the bank going out, those are these spots. Lure selection on tough days, I like to keep it simple, okay? Simple is good. All right, I mean, there's nothing wrong with owning all the lures in the world, but when it comes to a tough tournament, you need to fish those baits that you have the most confidence in, those baits that you have caught the most fish on in those, at that time of year. Whether it's middle of the summer, and
it's a drop shot, shaky head, whatever. Whatever you have the most confidence in, that's what you need to be throwing. Because if you're out there fishing, a tough derby, or out there fishing on a tough day, and you're trying something new that you've never even thrown before, chances are real good you are not going to have any confidence in catching fish on that lure. So right there, your attitude is going the wrong direction. Okay? You need to be throwing, you concentrate on whatever techniques, whatever baits that you have the most confidence that you can get a bite on. And that's one of the keys to any day on the water is you got to get out there and do what first? What's the first thing when you get to the first place that you're going to go? Put your trolling motor down, pick up a rod. What's the first thing that you want to do? You're not supposed to. What's the first thing that you? There you go. Who said that? You're the man. Get a bite. Catch a fish. That first fish can tell you everything. All right. Now, when you go for a couple of hours without getting a bite, that can tell you something too. Okay. But you've got to get a bite. Whether it's on the bottom, whether it's on the top, whether it's in between, you need to get a bite. Okay. The way that you do that is by fishing your confidence lures. And you need to, one of the things that you need to do is you need to have, hit the next one there. These are some of mine right here. When I got thinking about this, when I got to think about the different baits that I use in tough situations, I went to tackle boxes and pulled out specific baits and just spread them out across the floor. And I got to thinking, okay, if it's tough, if it's a tough bite, and I feel like the fish are going to be, oriented, or they're going to be looking up towards the top, what's the first thing that I would go to? What have I caught the most fish on? Okay? If it's, if fish are going to be in between, they're not going to be on top, they're not going to be on the bottom, maybe they're going to be suspended, maybe they're just going to be scattered up and down rocks or something, what am I going to throw in that situation? Then I thought, okay, what if they're pegged to the bottom or tight up against cover, and I've got to fish real slow and real methodical? So these are some of the baits that I pulled out of my boxes to show you. This is a pretty good representation of what I'm going to have in the boat to go anywhere and fish a tough tournament. First one up here at the top is a little 1/8 ounce War Eagle buzzbait. Nothing special. It's just a black 1/8 ounce buzzbait. It's got a little Zoom Swimming Super Fluke Junior trailer on it. All right. With this bait, I can cover a lot of water. It's a buzzbait. I can chunk it out there and wind it back. I can cover a lot of water, and it will catch 12-inch fish. It'll catch 5-pound fish, and everything in between. Okay, I can get bit with that. This you can see that this is a quarter right here in the middle. These are 5 little crankbaits that in a tough tournament I am not going to be without. Okay, the first one you can see is not much bigger than that quarter. And you can get a quarter out of your pocket and look at it and see that's a pretty small crankbait. This is a little Norman deep tiny end. It is a pain in the butt to throw because it is so small, but it will get bites. They sell it as a crappie crankbait because it's so small. Okay, but if you've got to catch 12-inch bass, this dude will catch 12-inch bass. I mean, if that's the size fish that you have to catch to do well that day, this little dude right here will catch it. Now it'll catch bigger ones. It'll catch 3-4 pounders too, but it will put 5 keepers in the boat if they're on crankbait. This is deep baby end, a little bit bigger, dives a little bit deeper. And you can see that one's, all these lures are, they've had the hoodoo beat out of them. I mean, they've all been fished a lot. Because that's, I mean, when I was thinking about this topic, I mean, that's what I did. Is I just got a box out and flipped it open and went, yep, caught him on that one. Yep, caught him on that one. Okay? WCE1, you know that's going to be in there. This is a little Cordell Big O. And it's not, they make 3 different sizes. They make a little tiny O, and a little medium-sized O, and a bigger one. I don't know what the medium-sized one is, what the number is, but that's it. It's 2 1/4 inches long. I do know that, 2 1/4 inches. It's very easy to throw, dives to about 4 feet. It, like the deep tiny, will catch everything. Comes around, you know, if you got to fish around cover, around rocks, wood, docks, it'll come around stuff very easy. The last one is a Norman deep lilian. Everybody's probably got a deep lilian, seen a deep lilian. It is one of the best deeper diving crankbaits. You know, we go down to 10, 11 foot on a 10-pound line. When you got, you know, when you have to fish a little bit deeper to get bit, that's one of the ones to that I'm going to throw. Now, middle, you know, most of these I'm going to throw they're either going to be digging on the bottom or I'm going to be dragging it around something. A boat dock, brush pile, stump, whatever. In the middle, I'm going to have a little drop shot tied on. Okay? And I'm going to fish that. A lot of people, you know, think about fishing drop shot down on the bottom. And that's fine. But one of the things that I've seen is a lot of times late in the summer, early fall, fish get suspended up off the bottom, suspended around big pods of shad. Okay? If you use your electronics, find those big balls of shad, get right underneath them with a drop shot. Get to where you can watch your drop shot go down and fish underneath those balls of shad. You can catch them with a drop shot. Swim bait is another bait that you can, it's actually a very versatile bait because, I mean, I can fish it, I can buzz it along the top, just like I do my little buzz bait, or I can put a jig head on it, fish it down on the bottom. Or I can swim it through the water column, halfway in between, wherever I need to. These right here are my bottom bumpers. Of course, little shaky head, little squirrel head with a shaky tail worm, a Zoom Z-Hog Jr., little 3/16 1/4 ounce weight, and then a Jewel magnet casting jig. These two are what I used on the Delaware last year. And when I went in that creek, I went in throwing a crankbait. So I could see all these laydowns. My laydowns were everywhere, and I caught fish. You know, I caught 3 or 4 fish on my crankbait going back in this creek. I thought, hey, this is going to be all right. So I wheeled in there first morning of the tournament and start throwing my crankbait around, and don't get a bite for an hour and a half. Nothing. Fish through all these beautiful laydowns, and I'm thinking, this ain't good. This ain't real good. But I'm thinking, okay, I know that they're still in here. I didn't catch them all. You know, there had to be more than 4 fish in here. They got, you know, they didn't swim 10 miles or whatever back out to the main river. They got to be right here in this little stretch of laydowns. So after I went down with my crankbait, picked up my little jig and turned around and went right back through it and caught 6 and left. Now, it would have been very easy for me to fish through there with my little crankbait, not get a bite, and say, I can't catch them, they're not biting. But instead, I said, okay, they're not biting a crankbait. I can catch them on something else. I didn't even have a jig laying out on the deck. I had 3 crankbaits and a buzz bait or something laying out on the deck. That's all I had. Wasn't planning on fishing jig. Had them, I had one tied on, but it wasn't, in the on deck circle. I had to go back to the clubhouse and get it. All right. So, just because you go through an area that you've caught fish in, that fish are there, you go through there, throwing your little crankbait, your little spinnerbait, your little swim bait. They're there. Stop. Put something else on. Turn around. Go back through it. Figure out. And this is a prime example about if you're in an area and you know that they're there. There's no reason for them to leave. They've got cover. They've got food. They've got a place to hide. You have to figure out what to do to catch them. The easiest thing is to throw everything in the boat. Okay? Take your little time. We'll just take the tackle box out, throw it out there in the water and say, okay, what do you want? Pick something. Okay? That's what you need to do. Seriously. But this, hang on. This selection is, I know that if I go in an area that I know has fish on it, there's something right here. One of these lures, one of these techniques, I know I can get bit on this. Okay? And I'd be willing to bet that if you go home, sit down in your boat, sit down in front of your tackle boxes, and just open them up and say, I can catch them on that Cinco. I can catch them on this spinnerbait. If you go through there and pick out 4 to 5 things, and one thing that you need to keep in mind is you need to cover the water column from the top all the way to the bottom. Everything in between. You got to keep that in mind. Okay? Yes.
Why the 1/8? Why don't you go to our 4?
I get more bites on a little 1/8 than I do on a quarter or 3/8. I'll get bigger bites on the 3/8. I've got 2 sizes of buzz baits. A little bitty one and real big ones. Okay, and really I don't throw a whole lot in between. Okay, because I either want to just get bit, or buzz bait is one of those things where you can either catch a lot of fish on it with a small one, or you can throw a bigger one and typically catch big fish. So, in these situations, man, I'm just trying to get a bite. That is all in the world I want to do is get a bite.
I haven't heard any of you mention a spy bait. Is that something you ever go to?
If I'm fishing in Japan, yeah. But I've never been to Japan, so the answer to that is negative. I'm not saying that. I actually bought some and played with them a little bit, because that's, if something new comes out, I'm a sucker for it, just like a lot of other guys. I don't know that I've ever caught a fish on it. I am sure in really clear, really high pressure situations, I could see that being, I could see it working. But I haven't caught them on it. No. Yes, sir.
So I guess basically when conditions get tough, you want to downsize everything.
That's a very good question. When conditions get tough, you want to downsize everything. Not necessarily. Now, there's times when actually going big can work in your favor. If you're somewhere, let's say you're down on the upper Chesapeake where there's just scads of 4 and 5 pound fish. They're there. Okay? They may be hard to catch, but you know they're there. That's one of those situations to where I mean, if you just, you know, if you're fishing a tournament and you aren't worried about catching limit, you just want to catch 5, you know, you want to catch 5 of the biggest, okay, then, you know, a lot of times I would go big. Whether it's, you know, flipping a big jig, you know, whether it's fishing a big swim bait, throwing a big crankbait, and not worrying so much about getting 5 as getting big ones.
Because you're throwing something different, right?
Because you're throwing something different, okay?
You know, I guess the Chesapeake gets jammed up, and you know, tournament fishermen, regular fishermen.
Yeah, and Upper Chesapeake is kind of a unique area because so many people fish kind of the same stuff. Okay, and we see that, and you know, the Potomac's the same way. You know, there's key areas, there's certain areas on any tidal body of water. There's certain areas that obviously the fish congregate in, whether it's because there's grass there, the current's right, the water depth is right, whatever. And those fish see, I mean, they get conditioned. They get conditioned to boats. They get conditioned to be caught. So yeah, I mean, I firmly believe that a lot of fish get conditioned to what your transducer sounds like on your depth. Okay, because I mean, I don't know how many of you ever stuck your head underneath the water while your transducer was going on, but it makes some noise. I mean, there's a little popping, clicking noise there that's going all the time. It never shuts off. Okay, and if you got one on the front of the boat and one on the back of the boat, well, they're both tick, 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 tick. And then if you got structure scan, side imaging, or whatever, you got another transducer back there that's going boop, 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 boop. So you got, I mean, there's a lot going on just with your electronics turned on. Okay? Somebody asked in the earlier session about HydroWave. I first started using HydroWave because my thought process was, if there's something that I can use to mask or hide the sound of the boat, trolling motor, the bilge pumps, if there's something that emits or that transmits a more natural sound to try and mask, it's almost like, I was thinking of it more as like camouflage. You know, something that could mask the sound that my boat was making. That, I'm thinking that's got to be a good thing. Okay? Several of the tournaments that I've won, I firmly believe is because I got in an area, small area, and turned everything in the boat off. Turned the electronics off, turned, you know, my HydroWave on, just, you know, not loud, just enough to hide the sound of the boat, okay? And I firmly believe that I did well in those tournaments because I did those things. I wasn't beating and banging around in the boat, shutting lids, you know, slamming around, yelling, screaming, because, you know, in those situations, particularly in those situations where maybe you're in a small area, a confined area, shallow water, or those days when it's dead slick calm, well, I mean, whatever you're beating and banging around on in the boat is going to get transmitted. And in areas that you fish, and places that you fish in that see a lot of angling pressure, I have no doubt that the fish that we're all fishing for, I mean, when they hear that pinging, I mean, they know that that's not normal. That's not right. Okay? And I mean, how many of you ever fish reservoirs in the summertime where there's a lot of skiing traffic, boating traffic? Same thing, huh? That Wednesday, Thursday bite is great. Saturday, after about 10:30, 11 o'clock, yeah, the bite's not so good. All right? Because you got all that boat traffic going on. That's the same thing we got going there. Okay? Yeah. So, last thing, execution. Okay? This is being out on the water, getting the job done, okay? And this is no time to be clown shoes, okay? This is, you know what you need to do. You gotta get out there, you gotta get bit, okay? You wanna be as efficient, use as much, you've only got, if you're fishing a tournament, you've only got 8 hours, all right? The less time that you spend goofing around, the more time you have to fish. In these extremely tough tournaments, you have to be extremely efficient with your time. These are some of the things that I do. I make sure that the rods, the reels that I'm going to use that day, all have fresh line on them. Make sure that I tie good knots, because we've all heard about, the one that my buddy broke off and lost the tournament, okay? Or he kept breaking his line because he didn't put new line on his reel, that sort of thing. You don't want to be that guy, all right? Make sure your hooks are sharp. Make sure that you put sharp hooks on. Make sure your batteries are charged. It's little stuff. All this little stuff right here can ruin. This is the kind of stuff that on a really tough day, hey, you're sunk. Okay? You don't want to mess up a day just because you forgot to plug your batteries in the night before. It's real simple. These two right here are something that we don't think about. Getting enough sleep and eating enough can be equally important. Okay? When you're out there and it's hot, you need to make sure that you're drinking all day long. And you get busy, you get focused, but it's one of the things that you need to do to keep your brain working. Make every minute count, concentrate, try not to miss a single fish. If your goal going out in the morning is to catch every single bite that you get, you're doing good. Yes, sir?
What time of the night are you shutting down and going to sleep?
That's a very good question. What time of the night? It depends. It depends. I like to be in bed on tournament night by 9:30, 10 at the latest. Okay, doesn't always work out that way, but for me, getting 6.5, 7 hours of sleep is, I can function well on that. The problem that you run into is when we have multiple events or back-to-back events, because it's not incredibly hard to do that for 7 days, but when you start doing it for 14 days, 21 days, without a day off, without a day that you can just veg and chill, then it gets tough. And what you have to understand is, even the guys that don't fish all 4 days, say an elite event, well, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, if it's a back-to-back event, usually, they got to load up and drive 5, 6, 8 hours to the next one and get ready to go again on Monday morning. So there's a lot going on, and it's, like I say, a week of it, and at the end of the week, you're pretty tired. 2 weeks, if you go 14 straight on that 15th day, yeah, you're pretty big. Yes, sir.
You touched upon this earlier. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about practice? How would you approach practice a week before a one-day tournament? And how would you approach practice a multi-day tournament, days before the tournament?
Okay, how would you approach practice a week before a tournament, and then how would you a multi-day tournament the week of? Okay. A week before, if I was going to go, let's say that I had a tournament next Saturday, and I'm going to go fishing tomorrow. Okay? If I'm going to go fishing tomorrow, I'm going to be looking for an area that I can get big in. You know, I'm not going to go in an area, and let's say I go in an area and catch a fish off say I catch him off a frog, you know, on the edge of some lily pads. But I want to know what else is in that area, okay? Other than lily pads, is there some grass in there? Is there some kind of, you know, is there a creek channel in there? I want to know, okay, this is where they're at right now. And that's probably the hardest thing to do, but once you kind of get a feel for it, I mean, it can help you greatly. Yes, you go in this area, you go in a particular area and you catch fish off of laydowns, all right? They're right up on the bank, real tight to the laydowns, okay? You go back for your tournament the next Saturday and the water's come up or the water's gone down. Well, they didn't pack their bags and leave. They're somewhere in there, okay? Did they slide down to the tips of the laydowns because the water went down? Or if the water came up, did they move up and scatter out in the grass that's along the edge of the lake, okay? So I'm looking for areas to fish in, not so much techniques, okay? I mean, any kind of pre-practice that I do, whether it's, you know, for an elite or whatever, if I'm going there a week in advance, a month, you know, we can't go there a week, but you know, if I'm going there a couple of months in advance, I'm not looking for specific techniques or specific cover, structure, none of those options. I want to get fit, yes. And I want to catch some fish because I want to see what size fish are in that area, how aggressive they are they, you know, are they fat? Are they little skinny rounds? You know, that sort of thing. You know, I kind of want to know that. But as far as what they're specifically on, I'm not as worried about that. Now, the Monday, Tuesday, before an elite event, I'm going to go back to those areas, you know, whichever ones I think are the best, and try and get a feel for, okay, it's a month later, 2 months later, whatever. What are the fish on right now? Okay? Now I'm trying to dial it in as far as techniques, specific cover, okay? Maybe even specific lures. But you got to be careful because from Tuesday to Thursday, things can change. From Wednesday to Thursday, it can change. From Thursday morning to Thursday afternoon, it can change, okay? So, you know, if you roll in there Tuesday,
Are you looking at them?
oh yeah.
You are.
It depends on Mississippi River in Fort Madison. I didn't want to catch fish. Didn't care if I caught a fish or not. Just getting a bite was good enough for me because I knew from seeing the weights, you know, historically there that, hey, 5 a day, if you catch 5 a day for 4 days straight, that's a big deal there. I mean, that's huge, obviously. But now someplace like we go up to Oneida or go up to St. Lawrence River, well, I mean, 5 a day is not squat. Man, everybody catches 5 a day. Okay, that's a whole different ballgame. If I know it's going to be an ultra tough tournament where it's just going to be hard to catch 5, I might catch 1 in an area and leave. Now, that's not to say that I won't continue fishing a jig with the hook cut off, something like that, and get a couple more bites. But I'm not going to get very many because I don't want to show all the fish in that area. You know, I don't want to fish every single laydown in there because I don't want to show every single fish in that area the same bait. Okay? I don't want to do that. Okay?
So in a non-tournament situation, in the weekend warrior, I
Yeah.
have time.
Yeah.
What is the best time of day for you to maximize fishing?
What is the best time of day? That depends a lot on the time of the year. Okay? I would say spring, early summer. early morning for the most part. You know, if you can get out there the first 4 hours a day, could be the best all day long. Late fall, winter time, the last 4 or 5 hours of the day. Got a little sun on the water, it's warming things up a little bit, particularly on sunny days. Not so much on cloudy days. Sunny days, usually that afternoon bite can be the best. Okay, that's about the best. In spring, early spring, it can be the same way. Okay, those last 4 or 5 hours, a little bit of sun, and that's the time that I will go shallow. Is those last 4 or 5 hours of the day. That's when I'm going to get shallow. Yes, sir. Back in the back.
Yep. You mentioned fishing the columns. Would you say you start with 3 top water baits and then maybe 3 mid and then 3 bottom, or do you just go top, mid, bottom, and then come back again? How would you do that?
You know, that's a good question. How do you figure out whether to fish on the top, fish in the middle, fish on the bottom?
Yeah.
If I get every area that I go to, okay, let's say I go in this creek and I see a creek bend there that's got a little bit of everything. I'm gonna fish that entire bend with everything, top to bottom, until I get a bite. Let's say I don't get a bite there. That's okay. There's another bend right up around the corner, another creek, whatever. Yeah, that kind of hurts, doesn't it? I'm gonna go into the next one and do the same exact thing. Top, middle, bottom. Somewhere in there, I'm gonna get a bite. I'm gonna make one bite. And then when I get that first bite, and it could be, it could be on a totally different bait than I threw back in the first creek or in that last bend. Okay? A lot of times what I'll do is when I get a bite here, let's say I get a bite here flipping the jig, and I didn't flip a jig in this last one. I flipped a little piece of, a little Z-hog in there, something soft plastic. I'll go back to that other one with my jig and see if I can't get a bite. And see if they're tuned in maybe more to a jig than just a piece of soft plastic. And that's the little details that make a difference between having a so-so day and having a really good day. Okay?
All right, welcome back to Bass U Live. That was Kevin Short on fishing tough conditions. And guys, that was kind of the theme of what we talked about today, is the tough conditions that are going to be faced with at the Chesapeake Bay Open. And sometimes it's pretty much the theme of fishing in the fall. The fall is a really dynamic time of year. Things are changing fast and the fish are moving. So you got to be able to fish under those tough conditions. We have a fall fisherman on our crew. Scott, you are a fall time of year guy, right? Like you like
absolutely.
Fishing in the fall.
Yeah, it's Frogtober for me. You find your favorite stream or lake and throw a horny toad out there or a popping frog under any overhanging vegetation. It's game on.
Oh, yeah.
First 3 weeks in October are my favorite time of the year.
Hey, fish can be caught. It's definitely a tough time of year, but you know what? They're still out there. They're still swimming around. You can definitely catch them. Everybody who watched the show, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening on iTunes podcast or your Android podcast streaming app, whatever you listen to it on, please leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. We want to hear from you. We appreciate all of our listeners. We appreciate all of our viewers and all the companies that help us make this thing possible. Until next time, this was Bass University Live. You can catch us next Tuesday, same time, same place, 11 a.m. from the TackleDirect studio. We'll see you then.